There's no black people in my town. Sorry. Yeah. Hi. Welcome to the Jib. This bi-weekly podcast is about the many and varied schemes of the many and varied U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies, organizations, and committees, and how they are stupid and funny. Join us on our merry journey through space and time. Hi, my name is Barry. You might know me as the guy who always stops to say hello to the greeters in Costco.
Hello, everybody. I'm Seamus. You may know me from my narration work on the documentary Wigs, The Fruit of Syphilis. So, you may notice today that we have a guest. This gentleman here below. Brently, tell everybody who you are.
Hey, I'm Brently. I do a show called Punk Apostate, and yeah, it's fun. I like to make fun of religion. Typically,
I like punk and I like apostate.
All right. Hey, then this is your bag.
Yes, it would appear to be.
That's everything you want right here.
Yeah.
Punk pasta? Is it? No,
I mean, punk pasta is good. That's
yeah.
probably the best of all the pastas, honestly. But I know just the word apostate sounds weird sometimes.
It does.
Because usually they use it about Muslims, don't they? Like they tend to only use it about Muslims.
Yeah, it's weird
These days anyway.
Yeah, you typically don't hear it too often for like the ex-evangelical type of
but they are in fact apostates as well.
Right. Yeah, technically, right. It's just I think we are starting to use it a little bit more now because you have like all these different apostates coming out. Like that's a new kind of trend as far as like skeptical YouTubes go. Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's like a mystery science theater kind of thing, except I watch fundamentalists. Just let them say stuff and then laugh about it, because it's wildly entertaining, to be honest. It's funny.
Yeah, it's a good time. I thanks again for having me on at one time. It was a lot of fun. So,
oh yeah, that was a great time.
You guys should definitely check it out. So today we're doing a story that isn't your typical story. It's not a clear cut, CIA, FBI doing some sort of tomfoolery.
All right, I'm out. Thanks.
Oh, Jesus, Mary. Okay. So we're dealing with something that before these organizations actually became to what they are today, there's some shenanigans that went down. So we're going to talk about one of those stories that kind of influenced it. But before that, it was kind of reminded to me that some people don't know geography or U.S. geography, and that might come up a little bit in this story.
Americans.
That's me.
Yep.
I don't know geography. I was homeschooled. Okay, I was homeschooled.
I was kind of pointing out the guy that's not from America, but okay. Thanks.
I spent some time in America and I spoke to people who couldn't find Ireland on a map, right, of the world. Fair enough. Who gives a shit, right? But they also couldn't find their own state on a map of America.
That sounds so American. It's not funny.
Different. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hold it against anybody if they couldn't find Ireland on a map. But man.
Wait, where are the lines and the words?
Yes.
I need the words to...
I spoke to somebody who thought Alaska was an island.
It's right next to Hawaii.
Because on the map. Right?
On
the maps,
Hawaii is not in the Mexican Gulf. So
they're both next to each other, right?
Right.
At the bottom corner.
Why is
Alaska so cold and Hawaii is so hot if the rain? Anyway,
conspiracy theory. Okay.
I used to think that like literally when I was a kid. So funny.
Here's a map. Remember, moving on. No, just kidding. So Oregon. Right there where it says Mingo Junction, Mingo County. That's going to be kind of where we're going to be talking about. It's in the very ass end of what's called West Virginia. That state there.
What program did you use to create that map?
I didn't create it.
Oregon Trail. That's it.
Because I'm thinking, like, what's the criteria for inclusion of a city?
Yeah, I don't know either, man.
Oh, okay. Because it's got like it's got capitals, state capitals, but then it has Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very odd.
And it also has the marble from Marble Madness. Like, this is very old. Like, video game nerds are gonna love this. Like, this.
Yeah.
So one thing I like to point out that apparently was lost on the writers and producers, Mel Brooks, of History of the World Part 2. West Virginia is north of Virginia and wasn't part of the Confederate state, even though his documentary, Wink Wink Nudge Nudge, says otherwise. So
no way.
Anyways, yeah.
West Virginia was in the Confederacy, surely.
No,
that's how do you
West Virginia was formed because they split from Virginia because they want to be part of the Union. They were against slavery.
Wow.
But in fucking History of the World Part 2, they said, hey, we need to go get some slaves. Let's go to West Virginia. like, no, goddamn.
Wow.
Oh, we have John Denver. We have the shitty John Denver song in this. Come on, give us what we got. Come on.
Right.
There's nothing shitty about that song.
No, absolutely not. But like when you think of West Virginia, that's exactly what I think of. Is like the most southern you can get. Like the
Yes.
hills have eyes, kind of southern.
Well,
is what
if you
I
look at
think.
when we look at like maps of metrics and so on, there's always a black hole in like Mississippi and Louisiana.
Well, yeah,
Like
there's
kind
a
of
lot of
kind of a
Appalachian.
secondary black hole in West Virginia. And any of those
Yeah.
maps for income or disease or hurricanes or whatever, there's always like a black hole around Mississippi and Louisiana, and then another bit in West Virginia. Well, so I don't know. I would have put them down as a Confederate state. They certainly are now. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, they've adapted.
That's unkind. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So I just want to give you guys that little history lesson of where we're at.
Mingo County.
That's
Yep.
fascinating.
Right. The other state that's going to be bordering right there where Mingo is Kentucky. So it's like right there.
That's the chicken thing. The chicken leg
Yeah, yeah.
on
Good
the
for
tray of
fried chicken.
Tennessee. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're right there on the bottom.
Nice.
So, anyways, to start our story, May 15th, 1891 or 1893. We're not.
I'll take 1891, please.
Okay. William Sidfield Hatfield was born in Blackberry Pike County, Kentucky.
Oh, hello.
The 10th of 12 children, of whom 9 survived infancy.
You know what that guy looks like?
That's
He
what
looks like the bad guy in an X-Files episode, but it turns out you actually feel bad for him when you hear his story.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
Like he ends up being not the bad guy.
Yeah, he ends up being not the bad guy. He's just
Yeah.
accidentally killed a load of people.
Yeah.
His grandfather Jeremiah was half brother of Valentine Hatfield, grandfather of William Anderson Devil Ants Hatfield, aka the leader of the Hatfield family involved in the famous Hatfield-McCoy feud, who was portrayed by Kevin Costner in that documentary series that was put out.
Documentary series.
As a child, Hatfield worked on his father's farm, and in his teens, Sid did what many young men in the area were forced to work.
He joined the army.
Nope, he became a coal miner.
Ah, okay.
So,
What you do?
did you know West Virginia, Mountain Mama, is big on coal there, Barry?
I did not know that. I would have said Pennsylvania.
You would say Pennsylvania? Well, you know, Mountain Mama it is.
Okay.
Coal mining would become a big deal in West Virginia around the mid-1800s. By early 1900s, coal was the powering industry of railroads, steel cars, while also heating many homes and businesses. Demand for coal from the fields of West Virginia surged by a century's end. This was part due to quality and quantity of the coal, but also the lack of something called unions.
Yeah.
Yeah, something we'll come back to here in a few. Coal miners suffered from the highest fatality rates among industry workers during the early 1900s. Large-scale disasters were frequent, leading to hundreds of miners dying from roof collapse, explosion, fires every year. And West Virginia mine safety laws were the weakest in the country. And what laws did exist had fewer, if any, provisions to ensure their enforcement. Wonder why that is, huh?
That's crazy.
So now the real question is, Barry, how many times will West Virginia be mentioned in this week's top 10?
Let's find out. These are the top 10 coal mine disasters in the U.S. Number 1, Avondale Mine Disaster, 1869. Located in Plymouth, Pennsylvania, an explosion resulted in the deaths of 110 miners. So that's too many for my book.
Shit.
I know, right? At number 2, the Monongah mining disaster of 1907. The worst coal mine disaster in U.S. history with 360 fatalities. I'm reading this list for the first time to explain. Occurred in Monongah, West Virginia. Seamus gave me this list yesterday, and he just said, "What about this?" I said, "Okay, yeah." 360 people, man. That's not cool.
That's the whole workforce, right? Like there's nobody left. Like what?
It's a town.
It's just
Holy
two
shit, that's a
small
town.
Chinese children left.
Wow.
At number 3, the Cherry Mine disaster. What a lovely name, Cherry Mine. The Cherry Mine disaster of 1909. A fire in Cherry, Illinois, claimed the lives of 259 miners, making it again one of the deadliest disasters in U.S. history. 259 miners. Good Lord. Number 4, the Dawson mining disaster, 1913. An explosion in Dawson, New Mexico, took out 263. Number 5, Hanna Number 1 mine disaster, 1902, occurred in Hanna, Wyoming, and resulted in the deaths of 169. Number 6, the Frisco mine explosion of 1913, located in Eccles, West Virginia. This disaster led to the deaths of 121. This is starting. I see a pattern here. These are all like pre-union people, obviously.
Well, okay, so it's like an explosion. Is it because of all the phosphorus or whatever in there? Like,
it's just poor working conditions because they don't have to give a shit about it.
Right. So it's
The
just like
workers at that stage are just like parts in a machine. They're not people.
Jeez, that's so
If
sad.
there's no union, then who gives a shit, right? Just get more people. There's all people lining up outside looking for work.
Yeah, that's the thing. Make people as replaceable as possible, I guess, right? Jesus.
121 died. So there's a whole bunch of people in that town thinking, great, now I'm going to get a job. I can support my family. You know? That's what happens. You turn people into,
syndrome. It's easy to move up if you're under Darth Vader because he just keeps going.
Exactly. Lots of administrative promotion,
Yeah, exactly.
Number 7, the Mather mine disaster in 1928, located in Mather, Pennsylvania. This disaster claimed 195 people. At 8, it seems almost banal now. I'm just keep reading them out. It's like, oh, there's another few hundred, you know. At number 8, it's the Castlegate mine disaster, 1924. An explosion in Utah's Castlegate mine resulted in 171 fatalities. Number 9, Benwood mine disaster, 1924 in Benwood, West Virginia, second West Virginia, and led to 119 deaths. Number 10, right, in our top 10 is the Hanna Number 5 mine disaster, another tragedy in Hanna, Wyoming, resulted in the deaths of 169, which is again 169 people too many. And as always in our top 10, we have a bonus. And our bonus is the Consolidation Coal Company Number 9 mine disaster from 1943, which occurred in Farmington, West Virginia, and led to 33 fatalities. And the Sago mine disaster of 2006, an explosion in Sago, West Virginia, resulted in 12 deaths. And that is our top 10 for this week. And that is a rather tragic and depressing top 10. And we tried to be lighthearted about it, but it was difficult.
Yeah, that's not. Well, we got up to almost like over 1,000 then, right? That
really?
was over 1,000 people, right?
In mine disasters, just solely in mine disasters.
In mine disasters, wow.
And just in the U.S., because you also have to remember about this time, these companies
in American measuring units, that's 1/3 of an 9/11.
Because there was, these coal companies were also doing mining in, Mexico and, further down south.
And they can promise you they weren't much better in those places, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more fatalities down there.
They weren't taking a special care of Mexicans, unlike now where they love Mexicans.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Their favorite. So something else just to touch on real quick. I don't know if you noticed the first two pictures I used, which actually were the first two of West Virginia coal miners I found, that they're not just white people. That at this time and some of these were post-union. We'll talk about union here in a second.
Post-union, okay.
Yeah, but the union didn't have a problem, and they actually kind of, at the time, were pretty progressive, and were like, black folks should have the same rights as whites as far as unions. So
meaning none.
Pretty, yeah.
The guy, the right there, the white guy. You never get away with that these days. That would be shown if he went for political office and say, "Look, he did a blackface thing."
I was gonna say, I was a chimney sweep. No,
yes, I was. No, yeah, I was in a coal mine, a literal coal mine.
Sure, Jimmy Kimmel. Sure,
yeah. Tell it to the judge. Okay.
Culturally appropriating coal mining, you absolute scumbag. I'm like, oh, okay. And black people can't have nothing.
That's right.
After all that cheerfulness. Besides facing the possibility of facing death on a daily basis, West Virginia miners also suffered from low pay, long hours, and the exploitation that came from living in what is called a company-owned towns, or otherwise company towns.
Yeah.
That's like I'm sorry, that's just like those I swear, like all of the fucking Lifetime movies, like they always have like this company that rules over the town. Like that's like the bad guy.
We're going to talk exactly about that now.
Oh my god! Yeah, that guy wears white. He has like a white hat. He looks like John Hammond from Jurassic Park. Like that's who.
Miners in John Denver's favorite state were forced to live in company towns more than any other mining state in the greater Midwest region. Have you ever heard of company towns, though, Barometer?
I have heard of them, but I don't know much about them. But I imagine. Do you remember our Iran episode? Operation Apex. We were discussing the way that the oil company owned the entire, basically the town where these workers lived in terrible conditions. I imagine it's something like that, is it?
Kind of.
Okay.
So
Fuck me, you got a photo of one. Nice.
That's a company town in West Virginia.
There's the classic urban planning. Like.
Looks like
company town. Sorry, go ahead, Brent.
It looks like a cult's like compound.
Yes, it does. Yes,
the cult is called capitalism.
It is a cult, isn't it?
Yes. A company town is a place where practically all stores and housing are owned by the company that is the main employer. Typically, a company town is isolated from neighbors, centered on a large production factory, and citizens of the town either work in a factory or in small businesses or are family members of someone who does. Company towns often have stores, houses of worship, schools, markets, and recreational facilities.
Oh, God, their own church.
Coal
Holy
companies
shit.
typically issued wages in a special form of money called script, redeeming only at coal company-owned stores and other company-owned places of business. Sounds fun, right?
Wrong.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's
It sounds like a prison where they give you these little things and you can buy it in the prison shop with wildly inflated prices.
yeah, it's the prison gift shop. That's
Prison gift shop, yeah. Bar of chocolate, please.
it's on the way out, you know.
Got to store it up my ass for 5 months.
Getting away from Barry's ass. Let's talk about women.
A whole lot of stuff up there.
when husbands or sons were injured in mines, there were no men available to work. Women would receive, I'm going to butcher this,
Esau.
Yeah, Esau.
Jacob's brother is Esau.
Yep, okay, that's right. Yep, Esau script, which in turn can be used to buy food or other necessities. The name Esau comes from the story of the book of Genesis from the Old Testament, in which Esau, a starving hunter, staggers into his younger brother Jacob's tent, begging for food. Jacob feeds his older brother, but only after forcing Israel to sign away his birthright.
Quick sidebar. Jacob is the guy who ended up being called Israel by God because Jacob punched an angel. Secondly, Jacob is frequently depicted in a manner that makes him look like a total asshole in the Bible, but God loved him. God loved him. Secondly, Esau never does anything wrong, and he's the only person character, of course, because it's fiction to me. He's the only person in the Bible I'm aware of, and I'm open to correction on this, that's referred to as hated by God.
Ooh.
Esau's hated by God twice in the Bible, and I don't think God literally hates anybody else except Esau, and it's never explained why, because he's never depicted as doing anything except taking care of his family. And
That's a good question.
Yeah, I always hated that story because I'm like, you know, and everybody's like, well, yeah, and Esau's the bad one, and I'm just like, why is he the bad one again?
Jacob,
because he was hungry, like, and asked for food.
Esau was a hunter. He went out and hunted his food for the family. Jacob, in the remarkable, unimprovable phrase from the Bible I have, dwelt within tents, which is just fantastic. He's a reader. He's annoyed.
So like outside tents, man. He's an indoors type.
He stayed in the tents. Yeah, he dwelt within tents. Don't. That's exactly what I do.
It's a deep thinker, you know.
And an absolute shitbag. And he's Israel, and he changed into Israel. Struggles with God. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
That's all right. Esau.
There you go.
Esau was issued only to women. It was a form of script that would enable a woman to purchase food and her children for her and her children during the time that her husband could not work.
Well, that's all right.
The Esau was only good for 30 days, though, and if the husband went back to work within those 30 days, then the company would forgive the debt. And if he could not work...
Well, it's not it's like a credit facility. Then it's not they're giving her food. Oh, fuck me.
Yeah. So you just get it until you can work it off.
And if you couldn't at the end of those 30
what is this? Dubai?
The script became a loan that was due payable within the 30 days. At that time, most coal miners' wives did not hold jobs,
of course not.
but they still had to pay back the loan, which was collateral loan, and the women themselves were the collateral.
No.
What?
I do like where's this go? Is this prostitution?
Their physical selves would be used to pay the debt.
Is this a prostitution thing?
I don't know. Is it prostitution? Doesn't sound like prostitution to me. It sounds like a fucking controlled rape situation, but
Yeah,
the work of West Virginia.
indentured servitude or something.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. The work of West Virginia author Michael Klein, one of the first to write exclusively about the Esau system. For the miners' wives forfeited on the Ezra agreement meant submitting to the sexual dependence of the company men, compromising her own integrity in birthright, all for a pork and beans for her children, or a week's rent to keep the roof over her head.
That's just a systematic system of rape. That's an actual rape culture.
Yep.
Oh, that is, yeah, they're just baking it right into the system.
They're baking it right into the system. That's how you say that.
Yeah, so there's stories where like the teenage daughters are not even teenage because then like 12 was okay back then, right? The 12-year-old daughters would just be like sent away to the company store, and they were just kept there. And whenever they decided that the debt was paid, then hey, you might get your kid back.
Oh my God, that's disgusting. Yep. Holy shit. See why we need unions, y'all. This is see what happens. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for some reason, John Denver never wrote a verse about that.
Oh, Jesus.
He left that.
Just did come up in it. I don't know.
It's actually a secret 6. You got to wait till after the last song on the album, and it's like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, you play it backwards. That's
there you go. Yeah.
Play it backwards.
Never see John Denver's testimony to the Senate hearing on censorship.
No.
That Al Gore's wife chaired, Tipper Gore. She was in charge of these Senate committee hearings.
I remember her being there, yeah.
And Frank Zappa comes on and he's like, I think you should be able to say whatever you want. Typical Frank Zappa because he doesn't give a shit and he goes off. And then John Denver comes in, this kind of conservative West Virginia guy, and they're expecting a different response. And he sits down and they ask him, so what do you think about all this? He said, well, no, I agree completely with Mr. Zappa there. It was just fucking brilliant. One of the greatest moments in U.S. Senate history, It's like, I agree with this for John Denver. Bloody brilliant. He said, I wrote a song called Mountain High, and people thought I was talking about drugs, but that mountain is high. That's what I was writing about. It's just fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yes. But he never wrote a verse about but basically, the enforced, what would you call that? Forced rape.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how would you phrase that? What they did. Institutionalized rape. Institutionalized rape. Why dance around it, right? That's what you call it. I'm sure this will get more cheerful as time goes on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sex slavery, straight up. Like it just
sex slavery. Literally sex slavery. Yeah.
So now it's time to talk about hopefully better news, maybe.
Things get better for the miners, yes.
In 1890, the United Mine Workers was founded. Since the time of coal mines. Yep.
Yes.
Mingo County, West Virginia, was surrounding area have hired only non-union workers, right? Workers that became union members would find themselves immediately terminated. As miners in the area lived almost exclusively in company towns, termination also meant eviction.
Of course.
In 1920, the UMW's new president, John Lewis, planned to change this by pushing for strong unionization in the area.
Yeah.
He was under increased pressure to do so by both miners elsewhere participating in the United Miner Work Coal Strike in 1919 from the affected mine operators who were being undercut by non-union mines in West Virginia.
Okay.
Mother Jones, who was a badass. Unfortunately, the magazine hasn't held up to her name in recent years, but hey, gave fiery speeches at the age of 83. Frank Keeney, president of local union unionization, supported Lewis' efforts. Over 3,000 Mingo County miners joined the union and were summarily fired.
They fired 3,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
What?
In one day.
What are they, Trump? Like, what the hell? Jesus.
Yeah. The coal companies then hired agents from the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency to evict families for the former employees. So it's time to talk about these sons of bitches.
Damn.
Yeah.
They're like rent-a-cops, are they?
Yep.
Okay.
The agency was founded in 1890s by William Gibney Baldwin. We got to bring that name back, Gibney. It's the Baldwin Detective Agency.
He looks a bit Gibbony to me.
Sounds Scottish.
well,
I don't know why. It
yeah.
sounds Scottish.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm
Does.
giving it. I can't do a Scottish accent.
Baldwin, the senior member of the firm, was a native to Virginia. He grew up an avid reader of detective novels, so he was a fan. He worked as a small storekeeper in his early days. He
But wait
studied,
now. Detective novels, the heroes solve crimes and murders and things. The detectives,
Right.
they don't evict people.
exactly.
It's a different kind of mystery. It's,
Yeah, Sam
don't remember-
Spade, eviction agency, like
You don't remember the episode of Holmes fucking chucking people out of their tents and shit because they didn't pay the company
happens to
town?
be you that is homeless now. I figured it out.
Thrash him, Watson.
exactly. Yeah.
He also studied dentistry, but he left that
Okay.
profession to become a detective. He began his career in 1884 with the Eureka Detective Agency in Charleston, West Virginia. After founding the Baldwin Detective Agency, he moved to Roanoke, Virginia, where he later met Thomas Lafayette Phelps, another terrible name. Phelps was a lawyer in 1900. He joined the detective agency as a partner to provide legal advice. Can't imagine why they would need that.
Yeah.
In 1910, the name of the agency was changed to Baldwin Phelps Detective Agency, and its headquarters in Bluefield, West Virginia.
All right.
Originally, the company provided investigative services to the railroad for trains, robberies, and other
Oh,
crimes.
okay. So they were detectives.
Right.
Okay, I was gonna say okay, they
Yeah.
do detecting, right? Like that's the thing.
Yeah. Soon the company provided guards for railway and mine payrolls. Company trained coal trains and the coal fields. Company became infamous for what they do best: strike busting.
Strike busting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
All right. Yeah.
these guys are kind of like I don't know. A lot more people hear about the Pinkertons, which we're going to do multiple episodes on
Yeah,
eventually.
we have plans.
Because there's a lot there. But these guys were kind of like the I would even say if the Pinkertons were Coke, I wouldn't say these guys were Pepsi. I would say they were kind of like I don't know, like
I thought you were going to say like if
X
the
or-
Pinkertons were coke, these guys are fentanyl.
yeah.
Like the
I
totally
was thinking like Shasta or something like that. I mean, they're kind
different-
of like the Costco brand, like the Kirkland brand.
Kirkland.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say RC Cola or something. Yeah.
That's RC. Let's go with RC. I like that because they still
Yeah,
get the
I-
job
much,
done.
much
but they're
respect
not,
for
you know.
Kirkland.
Yeah, I like RC better. I mean, but I like the underground stuff. So that's
The underground stuff.
Underground,
I
yeah.
like the mainstream.
Punk man, yeah.
That's right. God damn it.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to where our story is gonna take a little turn. We'll still be in West Virginia, but now we're in Mattawan. Mattawan, West Virginia is located in Mingo County. You might remember that from the beginning.
I've
of this
seen that
research.
movie before. That's every Western.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, they got the swinging doors on the saloon,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they
it
shoot.
was-
They fall from the top there when they get shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Clint
The
Eastwood
town was-
wandering around there.
The town was founded in 1895. It was a small independent town with only a few elected officials. On May 19th, 1920, Lee Phelps and a dozen Baldwin Phelps detectives arrived in Mattawan. They were met by Lee's brother, Albert Phelps. By now, the Baldwin Phelps agency had earned a reputation for using violence against labor. They earned this in part for their actions in the Ludlow Massacre in 1914 in Colorado.
Imagine if like you were involved in something called the Ludlow Massacre
Yeah.
and you were the one doing the massacring.
Yeah, I'll just tell everybody to go Google that one because that's another.
On my
great
CV, what have you
story.
done? Well, I was involved in the Ludlow Massacre. Oh, that's terrible. No, I was the guy doing it.
Okay, I didn't get massacred. I was actually on the anyway. That's all the.
We
was
don't
actually
call it a
really
massacre
successful.
in the
Massacre.
Phelps Corporation, the Baldwin Phelps. We don't call it a massacre. We call it the what was it, the corporate empowerment action.
There you go. Yeah, we call it the
Corporate
bad guys
empowerment.
dying. That's all. We
Yes.
call it bad guys dying.
The defense of the law. That's what we call it.
Yeah. Jesus.
Sorry, I lost my spot here for a second. Oh,
Yes, you're
Albert had already been in Mattawan area and had tried to bribe Mayor Campbell Testerman with $500 to place machine guns on the roofs of the town. So,
What?
nothing, no plans there, right? He was just going to shoot some squirrels or something.
Okay, so the particular Western it looks like now is the Wild
Yeah.
Bunch.
Yeah. So Testament wasn't down for that, so he told him to fuck off, right? That afternoon, Albert and Lee, along with 11 other men, sent out to Stone Mountain Coal Company property, and they began evicting people. There's a little cartoon to kind of tell you about that, right?
Damn.
Yep.
I'll give you till noon Thursday to go back to your homes.
Yeah.
The first family they evicted was a woman and her children. The woman's husband was not at home at the time. They forced them out at gunpoint, threw their belongings in the road under light but steady rain.
A little bit too much detail on the weather there, but okay.
Yeah.
I think they made sure to include that it was raining. Please, can you just make that,
exactly?
Being outside ain't that bad. It was.
It wasn't heavy rain. It was steady. It's important to we're not monsters, okay?
Yeah, it was that annoying kind of rain,
drizzly, stupid rain
enough to piss you off,
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, yeah, the miners. Whoops, I backed up here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm stuck in a precipitation. The miners who saw this were furious and set
not surprised.
Down. All right, so now you might have recognized this guy a little bit different than what you saw before. Madawan's police chief at the time was a guy named Sid Hatfield.
Okay,
you may have heard him somewhere, right? Like 10 minutes ago, although I think it's probably longer than that. Anyways, Sid had grown into a tall, thin, frail-looking gentleman with jug ears that gave him an almost boyish appearance. I mean, he's got that charm there, right? He received his nickname Smiling Sid because of gold caps on several of his upper teeth.
That's what those things are. They're gold caps.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes him cool then.
Black and white.
He's got some bling. He's got some bling in his grill.
Basically, Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's awesome.
Smiling Wiz.
Yeah. Sid was known to be rough, tough, and nasty. He also had a reputation for hard drinking and carrying 2 guns at all times. His reputation, it was his reputation that led Mayor Campbell Cornelius Testerman to appoint Sid. That's another Cornelius. Sid as a police chief of Madawan.
So this guy's constantly drunk, hard ass, always carries 2 guns with him. Yeah, police chief material. That's what the guy called him.
Right.
He's definitely dangerous. I guess that's
many of the church-going folk at the town did not approve of this rough customer to be the police chief. Wonder why, right? Sid worked hard to clean up his town, and that helped keep the prudes of Madawan, off his back. Mayor Testman knew that Sid had a soft spot for the rights of coal miners for his time working in the mines as a team. The mayor had very much wanted somebody to be pro-union on his side, so Sid was the right man for the job. So there you go.
Okay.
As the Baldwin Felts detectives walked to the train station to leave town, Sid and a group of deputized miners confronted them and told them that they were under arrest. Albert Felts replied, "No, sir, you can't do that. In fact, we have a warrant for your arrest."
No, I'm going to arrest you.
Citizens arrest on the arrest. Yeah,
the old warrant switcheroo, right? Yeah. Mayor Testament was alerted, and he ran into the street after a miner shouted that Sid had been arrested. Hatfield backed into the store, and Testament asked to see the warrant. After reviewing it, Mayor Testament exclaimed, "This is a bogus warrant." And with those words,
"This is just a receipt. What do you do?"
And with these words, shit went down, right? The gunfight erupted. Chief Hatfield shot Agent Albert Felts. Testerman, together with Albert Lee Felts, were among 10 men killed. 3 Madawan residents and 7 detectives total.
That's a big
7 detectives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, remember, they're not really detectives.
Right. Yeah.
The edge off.
Yeah. It's kind of like that scene in Reservoir Dogs, right? Did you kill anybody? No, just cops. No real
cops.
People. This gunfight became known as the Madawan Massacre. Now that's a good massacre. Right? So, it was symbolic significance was enormous for miners. The seemingly invincible detective agency Baldwin Felts had been beaten. So it's like killing one of your bosses in a video game. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like
Sid
the-
became an immediate legend, hero to the unions, a symbol of hope that the oppression by the coal operatives, their hired guns, would be overthrown. So Sid's a badass right now.
Hell
Yeah.
Excuse me. June 2nd, 1920, in Huntington, Sid married Jessie Lee Maynard,
Yes,
who was the widow of Mayor Testerman.
What?
The guy that just died, right?
Oh
Okay.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Many thought this was a bit odd, given this was only 11 days after the gunfight. Adding to the eyebrow raising was the fact that their wedding was on the morning after the two were arrested in a hotel together and charged with improper relations.
Improper relations. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What's one way to say that?
Yeah, this led to accusations by one Thomas Felts of the Baldwin Felts Agency, right? Charles Lively, that Sid, not Albert, had shot the mayor because of his desire for Jesse. So this was actually, some smear that was out there.
Hmm.
Right?
Damn.
Married the man who killed her husband, and then, when he in turn was slain, she went, "Yeah, I'm already out. That headline is too long." That guy's no idea how to write headlines. Make it snappy.
It's supposed to. That's why you do the hand thing. It's supposed to be able to fit in between.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Don't forget it.
it's not doing it.
However, according to Jesse, her first husband was aware of the danger of the situation and asked his friend Sid to take care of her and her young child, if he was killed. So that's
So he kind of-
why they
he
got
kind of gave it a certain
together.
approval.
So what is like he's saying? I felt bad. Like
Yeah,
I killed her husband, and then I was like, you know what? That was probably, it's probably a bad deal for you, huh? Well, check it out. I got an opportunity for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds fucked up, right? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's fucked.
Maybe no heroes in this story, right?
Patience.
Hmm. So during the summer into the fall of 1920, the Union gained strength in Mingo County, as did the resistance to coal operations. Sporadic shootouts occurred up and down
Sporadic
Tug River.
shootouts.
What?
In late June, state police under the command of Captain Brockus, it's another great name, raided Lick Creek tent colony near Williamson. Miners were said to have fired on Brockus and Martin's men from the colony. In response to the state police, shot and arrested miners, ripped the canvas tents to shreds, and scattered mining families and their belongings.
Damn.
Both sides were boistering their arms. Sid continued to fuel resistance, specifically by converting Mayor Testerman's jewel store into a gun shop.
This is basically an insurgency at this stage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, what's the guy's name? It was Captain what?
Testament, isn't
Brockus.
it?
Brockus.
Oh,
Captain
Brockus,
Brockus. That sounds like a punk band. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Brockus. Captain
No,
Brockus is cool. Like,
I would see those guys.
yeah.
But now, of course, Sid, he's just a fucking celebrity. He's the shit, right? He also appeared in a short film entitled Smiling Sid. I wonder where they came up with that, for the United Mine Workers. It was photographed with activist Mother Jones. However, he was aware that his life was in danger from the Felts, because, they're kind of pissed about the two brothers that got whacked, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
January 26, 1991, the trial of Hatfield for killing Albert Felts began. It was in national spotlight, brought much of attention to miners' causes. Hatfield's stature and mythical status grew as the trial proceeded. He posed and talked to reporters, fanning the flames of his own legend. All men were acquitted in the end, but overall the Union was facing significant setbacks. 80% of mines had reopened with imported replacements, and ex-strikers signed Yellow Dog contracts.
Of course.
So, I don't know if you guys know what that means, but in Yellow Dog contracts, for those who don't, those employees agreed to a conditioned employment, not to be a member of a labor union. So
Yeah.
That's a current thing in lots of companies, isn't it?
uh-huh.
And it said they imported labor as well. So I guess that's kind of
Yeah.
they do that.
Nothing we're
these
talking
days
about
too.
has any implications about what's going on today. Barry.
At all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely removed. Yeah, there's just
This
different
is
world.
history. Yeah, just in the past.
We're
Rear view
better now.
thinking.
We learned.
Yeah.
We moved on.
Yeah, we fixed it. We fixed
Yeah.
We fixed it.
In mid-May 1921, Union members launched a full-scale assault on non-Union miners. In a short time, the conflict had consumed the entire Tug River Valley. This was known as the three-day battle. Was finally ended by flag truce and implementation of martial law, which is always good. From the beginning, the miners perceived the enforcement of martial law as one-sided. Hundreds of miners were arrested. The smallest infractions could mean imprisonment, while those on the side of law and order seemed immune. Miners responded with guerrilla tactics and sabotage.
I mean, and as someone who's like, I typically don't like violence, but when it comes to like stuff like this, I'm kind of like, why isn't there violence? You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
why did we stop doing that? Like, we're just like, no, can we just be a little inconvenient? Let's just stand in the road, and they'll have to drive around us, and that's it. That's what we used to fight fucking battles for multiple days, for the rights of
For
people.
union rights.
I don't know. Part, of course, I'm not trying to promote violence or anything, but it's just like, it almost is refreshing to hear that was something that happened. Like,
well,
good.
hashtag is just as powerful, Brent. I don't understand what you're talking about, man.
Sometimes you have to throw a stick of dynamite at somebody. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Got to,
According this time, according around, I can't remember writing here. Around this time, Sid traveled to McDowell County, August 1st, 1921, to stand trial for charges of dynamiting a coal tipple, which is like one of those things that feed the trains, right? Drops them.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. At the assurance of the McDowell County Sheriff, W.J. Bill Hatfield, a distant relative of Sid, him and his buddy Ed Chambers were told that they were safe and have the fullest protection of the sheriff's office whenever they arrived.
all right.
However,
You're gonna die to me.
the day before the trial, Sheriff Hatfield left the county for Craig's Healing Spring in Virginia for whatever reason.
On a holiday.
Right? Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
sign. Both men arrived in Welch in August 1st, 1921, accompanied by their wives. As they walked up to the courthouse steps, unarmed, a group of Baltzfeld agents standing at the top of the stairs opened fire. Hatfield was killed instantly. Chambers was bullet-ridden and rolled to the bottom of the stairs. Despite Sally Chambers' protest, one of the agents ran down the stairs and shot Chambers once more, point blank, in the back of the head.
Jeez. Okay.
Yep.
He's not coming back in the sequel.
No.
No.
They're gonna have to pull him out of a multiverse type of situation because that's just
He is gonna
Or
feel that in
prequel.
the morning.
Yeah. Hatfield's and Chambers' bodies were returned to Mattawan, wounded throughout the mountains, spread like wildfire, right? So people were not happy.
Oh shit.
So, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So now let's introduce another character that's already, complex story. Let's talk about a guy named Don Chafin. Don Chafin served as sheriff of Logan County during West Virginia mine wars. He was often called the Czar of Logan. Chafin's notoriety among the miners of West Virginia was widespread. Don Chafin, I love it's Don, like Don Chafin.
I know it keeps making me think that like he's got a rash under his underwear or something. He's done chafing, dude. Like he's. That's all I can think.
He is a rash, right? Yeah. He succeeded his father after winning the county sheriff election in 1912. Because of his state preventing him from serving 2 consecutive terms in office, Chafin served as county clerk from 1916 to 1919 before being elected again in 1920. So I love that. Yep. In Logan County, the operatives relied on Chafin and his deputies to use intimidation, violence to prevent the UMW from unionizing their workers. Chafin stationed his deputies at various mines and on trains, going in and out of Logan County searching for any form of labor organization activity. Chafin was well paid by the Logan Cooperative Association as he maintained a reign of terror over miners of Logan County. He became a symbol of the repression of coal miners facing West Virginia. So good fucking dude, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The assassination of Hatfield and Chambers, because that's what it fucking was, outraged miners. Within days, thousands of Union supporters had flocked to the outskirts. Marmot, different town. Town located near the capital of Charleston, led by UMW organizers Frank Keeney and Fred Mooney, both with Irish heritage, by the way. There,
Yep.
Barry. They decided to march on Mingo County to confront the coal companies and free the Union men imprisoned in the area. Many of the marchers were WW1 vets, so they came armed to the teeth with
Wait, now the
military
Union
issued
prison,
Springfield.
the guys who were
Sorry?
who were imprisoned under martial law for doing like very minor stuff. Yeah, okay, cool.
Minor. Minor. Yeah.
For doing small scale
Yeah.
breaches. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So these guys were all WW1 veterans, and they came armed to the teeth with military issued Springfield rifles and shotguns. Quote, "It is time to lay down the Bible and take up the rifle," Minor and Baptist Reverend John Wilburn declared. You don't fucking hear that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for unions, anyway. We do hear it a lot for other stuff, but that's
Right? Yeah.
mostly for gay people. But like, but
Yeah. So
Okay,
here's
here
our
we go.
boys now. The miners' route to Mingo required them to pass through Logan County. Upon learning the march, Sheriff Chapin, that dickhead we talked about a minute ago, scrapped together 3,000 strong army, state police,
That's a great photo.
deputies, citizen, militiamen, and prepared to fight. No armed mob will cross Logan County line, he proclaimed, and the supporters had soon constructed a network of machine gun nests and trenches around Blair Mountain, a 2,000-foot peak that stood directly in the miners'
That's where they're
path.
making the stand.
Yep, so they got to go up this fucking mountain to get there.
Okay.
So, August 24th, the main body of coal miners set out from Marmot, headed south.
August 24th. This
towards-
whole thing happened in 3 days.
Yeah, looks like it.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
wow.
Well, he was killed on the 1st, so like 24 days,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What
okay.
happened
give
on-
or take. That's still pretty fucking fast, right?
Oh, August 1. Yeah, sorry. I
month.
misread it. Yep.
Yeah. The main body of they left Marmot southward Mingo. Keeney and Mooney made a last-minute attempt to call off the march after a meeting with the War Department's General Harry Van Holzig, who warned that any violence would prove disastrous for the Union. But the proposed ceasefire collapsed when 2 miners died in a skirmish with Chafin's forces. So they were ambushed. By August 28th, some 10,000 men
Oh, my God.
had amassed near the border of Logan County and begun trading fire with company supporters. Now, to distinguish one another from in the dense forest, many of these miners did a practice where they tied handkerchiefs around their neck that were red. They were soon known as the Redneck Army. Boom, bitches. That's where redneck comes from.
No
Is it?
shit. Oh,
Yeah.
that's wild.
I was told a different
Yeah.
etymology. I was told a different
Yeah.
explanation for that.
Yeah, so was I. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
That's where it first came from. Yeah.
Unions.
Yep.
Ah.
That's funny. Holy
Yeah.
shit. It's like the
Yeah.
exact opposite.
Right? Yeah.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Damn.
It's
weirdo
The first, the first heavy fighting in the Battle of Blair Mountain occurred August 31st. Around 75 miners, led by Army God Bad Mofo Reverend Wilbert, stumbled across the same guys that dropped the Bible, pick up the gun, right?
yeah.
All right.
Stumbled across Chafin's Logan Defenders. I love these names. On a wooded ridge, each side attacked each side asked the other for a password and received the wrong answer. So I guess that was the thing that they did.
They did like the He-Man Woman Haters Club thing. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what's the password? I'm in the treehouse. Okay.
The password is shibboleth. Shibboleth? No. Shibboleth.
Mispronounced it. You're out. You're out.
This prompted a shootout that killed 3 deputies and 1 miner. The same day, the main army of miners commenced a two-pronged assault on Chaffin's trenches and fortifications. Loads of Union men streamed up the mountains, but despite their superior numbers, they were driven back by the defenders, who, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, riddled them with machine gun from a high ground.
Ah, the high ground.
So, yeah, high
That's
ground.
it.
Yep. On September 1st, a group of Union men assaulted a spot called Craddock Fork with a Gatling gun looted from the coal company store. Fuck you, script bitches, right? Yeah. Logan forces fought back with a machine gun of their own. After 3 hours of heavy fire, the weapon jammed. The miners surged forward and briefly broke the defenses line, only to be repulsed again by a stream of bullets from a second machine gun nest located further up the ridge.
Fuck.
For the rest of the day, the hills and hollows echoed with gunfire, and Union men are repeatedly being attacked, attacking the defending lines. Machine guns cracked up there, so you would think that the whole place was coming down on you. In quote by Ira Wilson, later recalled.
But the Union guys would be heavily outgunned, wouldn't they? No matter how many of them there were.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Sheriff Chaffin decided to step things up a notch, right?
Oh,
He
Christ.
decided to escalate things. So he chartered 3 private biplanes and equipped them with tear gas and pipe bombs made with nuts, bolts, and for shrapnel.
This is sounding more and more like the IDF.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, damn, okay, so now they're dropping bombs on your workers that you're just like, hey, can we have like some decent conditions or at least have some negotiating power here at all?
Is there
And
not
like,
like a law against bombing
bombs.
Americans in America?
Jesus.
You have a platoon? I got an Air Force, bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 planes full of tear gas and pipe bombs.
Yep.
Wow.
Planes dropped homemade explosives for over two of the miners' strongholds, but failed to inflict any casualties. So it could have been a lot worse, right?
Just got
hard.
lucky, I guess.
It's hard to aim when you're dropping pipe bombs from a biplane, you know.
But you need it somewhere like Gaza, which is extremely concentrated population.
That's what you need. Everybody to be just standing in one spot.
And then just throw a bomb somewhere and you're going to kill like a few kids.
Yeah, that's true.
So also around this day, a squadron of Air Army Service reconnaissance planes began patrolling the skies. And the following day, General Banholtz, the guy from the War Department, had mobilized some 2,100 Army troops.
Good. The Army's coming in. Fantastic.
Yep. Orders from President G, who liked to fuck a lot Harding. Federal. Guy did, man. He used to plow his mistresses in the broom closet and shit at the White House. Guy's a fucking machine. Sorry.
I know that. Okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Federal troops arrived by September 2nd. So I believe this headline, right?
Well, that's all right, isn't it?
Air Fleet order to West Virginia.
Yeah, good.
The miners, many of whom were veterans themselves, were unwilling to fire on U.S. troops.
What do you mean firing the U.S. troops?
Well,
These are the
because
US
the troops
that were sent to help them, wasn't it?
No, they came there to break it the fuck up.
They were sent to back up Chafin.
Uh-huh.
No.
Take it over.
The
US troops.
I was like, what? Really?
Yeah. If you said,
come on.
If you told me that story and you said the U.S. troops were sent in, I would assume they're going to defend the miners.
That's what I would have thought too.
They're going with the other crowd. What the F?
They're going with the power. You know, like who's got more power in this situation? Okay, they're the good guys.
When has the government ever been on the side of labor? You know?
Yeah, like, seriously. Yeah.
The miners, many of whom, I already said that, right? They didn't want to shoot on their fellow comrades. Bill Buzzard passed word to the miners to start heading home the following day. Scattered fighting continued between the miners and the Logan defenders until September 4th. But most of the men welcomed the government intervention and laid down their weapons. Roughly 1,000 exhausted miners eventually surrendered to the army, while the rest scattered and returned home. Miners, fearing jail and confiscation of their guns, found clever ways to hide rifles, handguns in the woods before leaving Logan County. Some were found later, along with many spent and live cartridges, which helped archaeological finds to reconstruct the course of the fighting.
I don't know why I'm like picturing them like going into the forest and like pushing a button on the tree, and it's like all the guns come out like Men in Black or something.
It was later estimated that some 1 million rounds had been fired during the battle.
That's a lot of rounds.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's what it was only like a handful of days too, right?
I'll tell you who's money there. The Bullet Company.
Despite all those rounds, right? Reports of casualties ranged from as few as 20 to as many as 100. So I mean,
that's a small number.
yeah.
I guess a lot of trees took metal that day.
Yeah, yeah. But the actual number, you can never really confirm. So
okay.
After the battle, 985 miners were indicted for murder, conspiracy to commit murder, accessory to murder, and treason against the state of West Virginia.
How's that treason? Oh, because they did state forces. They fired on the state forces. Okay.
Though the majority,
wow,
go ahead.
That's crazy.
Though the majority were acquitted by sympathetic juries, others were imprisoned up to 4 years, with the last being paroled in 1925. At Blizzard trial, the unexploded bomb was used. One of the bombs, right, that dropped out of the plane. It was used as evidence of the government's and the company's brutality. He was then acquitted.
I have this image, like it says, you said the unexploded bomb was used as evidence. It's like, imagine an exhibit 2, jury, an unexploded bomb. Gone. Everybody out of the building.
Look, wait, is that so? No.
After the
we need a new jury now. This is the jury.
Man, they're in the mountains.
God, I got to boy hear this again. After the battle, Chafin went back to his normal work as a sheriff in Logan County. I believe his position was unsustainable because of all the bullshit. The number of illegal ventures he decided to get into, including moonshining.
He's just
yep. He also became an increasingly important within the West Virginia Democratic Party. Didn't see that coming, right? Due to his celebrity status after the battle.
Well, now, we should stop again. Every so often this happens on our podcast. We should explain that the Democratic Party before the 1960s, the Democratic and the Republicans would be switched. Like because of Nixon's Southern strategy, he kind of flipped the entire thing. So when they say Democratic, anytime in the 1920s, they would be what you would currently understand as Republicans.
Conservative, yeah. Because they were like the states' rights people and stuff like that,
Yeah, but Democrats today don't do anything bad at all. They're perfect.
No, they're above suspicion and reproach.
Scouts honor, like they are just
So he would frequently be present at the state capitol and attended the DNC convention in 24 as a member of the delegation.
I
guess
he was
changed
pretty much above. Like nobody tried to kill him on the way or anything.
A few months later, though, Chafin was arrested.
Okay.
One of his deputies, a Tennis Hatfield, believe it or not, was arrested for violation of the Volstead Act because during Prohibition, and implicated Chafin. Sorry,
what did the Volstead Act do?
During Prohibition, you couldn't, booze.
Oh, okay.
Moonshine.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
So Hatfield implicated Chafin at trial. Chafin was tried in conviction of the Volstead Act on October 14th, 1924. He was given a maximum sentence of 2 years in order to pay a fine of $10,000. Following his parole, he moved to Charleston.
No, I'm sorry. No, 2 years. No. You have to pay the $10,000 now, or we will take it out of your body.
Right?
Let me tell you, your tiny little ass, Chafin, is not going to go a long way for $10,000. You're going to be busy.
Oh, yeah.
With a name like Chafin, he might have a tight ass.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
How did I miss that in that speech?
Yeah. So after his parole, he was still an influence in the Democratic Party, lobbying for coal mining companies.
No shit, he was.
Yeah. But he suffered several heart attacks later in his life. But eventually died August 9th, 1954, in a hospital after a surgical procedure. So, this guy had several heart attacks on his way out. Fucker.
Good.
Baldwin later, from Phelps, Baldwin
Yes.
Phelps, later serves as a president and member of the board of directors for several banks. Shocking. Phelps was later elected to 2 terms as Virginia state senator. Also shocking. Baldwin died in 36 at 75. Phelps died a year later at the age of 69. And in 1937, 4 months before his death, Phelps formally dissolved the Baldwin Phelps Detective Agency. By then, strike-breaking work had declined. State and federal legislature outlawing the use of private detectives for the purpose of spying and harassing workers. Don't worry, I assure you, we're bringing that back.
Good.
Along with shifting public opinion, had made such detectives less useful to management and labor disputes. After the agency closed its doors, many of the company files were destroyed or lost. Yeah.
Right.
The largest collections of these were housed in the eastern region of coal archives. So, wonder what all those files actually were, right?
Right.
As for the Battle of Blair Mountain, it is now cited as a pivotal chapter in American labor history, but in short term, it proved to be a crushing defeat for the miners. The state of West Virginia charged Keeney and Mooney and some of the 20 Union men with treason. We already kind of talked about that, right? So nearly all were later acquitted, but those legal battles emptied the coffers of the UMWAs. So pretty much hindered any organization and unionizing going forward. So by the end of the decade, only a few hundred miners in West Virginia were still members. The union wouldn't reclaim the coal fields until the mid-1930s because of the Great Depression, when workers' rights and organize were enshrined in the New Deal legislation, such as the National Industrial Revolution Recovery Act, which
How about that?
this particular event was heavily cited by those that used to pass that. So it did have a positive impact later down the road.
That's good.
So
It's you feel so bad because okay, so this is all before the Depression.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man. Oh,
This is
poor
before
people.
the grapes of wrath. This is the good times before the grapes of wrath.
Right. And then when was the plague? Was this
Like these people look haunted.
the worst time to exist?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Look at the little kid there. He's a small kid. That's another thing. Child labor, we're bringing that back now too. So
Like all they want to do is go to the coal mines and work. And could you not fuck my wife, please? Is that possible?
Can you
Just
not?
because I got injured,
Yeah, we're talking thousands of people dead because of conditions that y'all don't give a fuck about. And
and it was all like completely reasonable stuff they're asking for.
Right. Yeah, this is correct. Like, do you want the job to get done or not? Like, I feel like this is crazy, and this type of mentality still is permeated like today. Like I hear people being like, "Oh yeah," and the unions make it so that you can't fire people, and I'm like, dude, why do you think that's a bad thing? Like, honestly, if you never had a bad day and like you think that they should just be able to like say fuck you forever because you had a bad day, even though you worked there for 10, 15 years, whatever. Like
I saw a training video for Amazon once, and the Amazon training video for Amazon, people working at Amazon.com warehouses, they just had a little thing, and it said, "Oh, don't join a union because then you'll be prevented from dealing with us personally. But we can do deals with you personally. You can talk to us directly, and you don't need a union. They're just going to take your money and do a collective thing that'll kind of, I guess they're trying to say that they'll be tied down to a certain set of things that they might not want." And the way they were selling it, like, I don't know. Just join a union, man.
You guys are making it so you can't come to us and talk to us, and we can't solve your problems for you because the union is causing
the union. Yes,
which it's been proven. I think it was with I'm trying to remember what the example was, but it was, I want to say, an Applebee's or something like that, and they did this test where they were like, here's the Applebee's. What's it? It was like a diner. I can't remember which one, but or IHOP. That's what it was. IHOP.
Okay.
And they did a test. They started unionizing, and they had a couple stores that did end up getting unionized because they have that legal thing where they're like, oh no, you can only do one store at a time, kind of shit. Let's slow it down. Well, they did a couple stores, and then they found that those stores that were unionized actually performed like almost like way better than the others.
So
because the employees aren't starving the whole time, because like it's hard to think straight when you're super hungry. And then the extra money that the employees had, they usually spent it at that restaurant anyway, because they're already there,
Right.
So a lot of that money went right back into the company anyway. So it just they had better service, better conditions for the people, which makes for better work.
I would imagine if you take care of your workers that it would help productivity, but that's
absolutely
just as a
Well,
general thing,
obviously, union would be forming at the International House of Pancakes.
right. That's true. Yeah, it is international. So
Yeah, the Jewish
there.
house. That's what they're trying to say there, isn't it?
it's
The global house of pancakes. Yes.
it's
Okay.
that's fun.
I'll have your finest unleavened pancake, please.
That's right.
I know what's going on there. You don't got to tell me. Unions, is it? That sounds like a Karl Marx thing.
Right. It's
Karl
more.
Marx was Jewish.
Was
He
he?
was German.
Yeah. You're not allowed to be Jews. Copyright 1936.
That's my story
Show.
there, folks. So,
That
we
is,
still got
very
one more. Still got one more thing though, Barry.
Oh, yeah. What's in the news?
What's the what?
What's in the news, is it? Sorry, it's what's new, not what's in the news. It doesn't matter. Still working at the kinks of this podcast. Okay, we'll be fine, don't worry.
Episode 23. No hurry.
So this is 20. So this is 23. Yeah, this is a part of the show where myself and Seamus, I put CIA into Google, and Seamus puts FBI into Google. We both hit news tab, and we see what's going on this week in the crazy world of the FBI and the CIA. And we do this every week.
Awesome.
And Seamus, do you have something for FBI?
I have two.
By the way, I haven't seen what Seamus is going to do. And I've seen the script to this. I've seen the first draft script of this podcast, but I didn't see the final script. And I haven't seen any of Seamus's links, and he hasn't seen any of mine. So he's going to get a surprise of his life if we don't mind.
I only have two. Questions and worries fly after Florida journalist home raided by FBI for Kanye West video. Or, I'm sorry.
Okay, another Mad Libs headline.
Yeah.
What? Wait,
Give me
hold on.
the TLDR on that.
What happened?
Apparently, okay, I'll just read the first couple things here.
Yeah.
May 2023, the FBI raided the home of Florida journalist who published an unedited Fox News video of rapper Ye, so they got it right there, formerly known as Kanye West, making anti-Semitic comments.
Oh, okay.
Not Kanye. Now, a multitude of press and civil rights organizations are calling for more transparency for the federal government about the reasons for this raid.
So a journalist just put a video up of Kanye doing anti-Semitic things, and the FBI raided that journalist's house as a result.
Yeah.
I don't see the connection between those two things.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to arrest him or something, you'd just send him a writ, wouldn't you, in the post?
Does Kanye got buddies in the
FBI?
like, hey guys, can you fucking just get this asshole?
I'll tell you, I already have a supposition, and that's that Kanye's favorite restaurant is IHOP. That's all I'm saying.
Right, there you go. Hey,
Yeah,
all
right.
connected.
What else have we got, Seamus?
So this is why the U.S. Supreme Court should hear a Muslim man on no-fly list sue the FBI. So apparently this gentleman is suing the FBI for having him on the fly list. So, which,
Muslim guy.
that was another thing that came out
sense.
from the David Hale episode, because that's one thing that he was able to produce in the leaks that he put out there was the no-fly list, because a lot of people didn't even know they were on a no-fly list until you go to the fucking airport.
They came from the countries,
Oh, shit, you can like literally
went through that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he put it out there because there's a story.
I'll say this for Americans,
a family that was trying to get on a plane and their 4-year-old was on the no-fly list.
Yeah.
4-year-old.
Yeah, because they had shared the same name as some radical or something.
There was a lot of pro-Americans, like guys who'd worked with the occupation for the Americans who were Muslims, and they were coming back on planes and they got stopped because it was just saying planes from these countries. But the night that happened, I remember, because I was watching it live unfold, teams of pro bono lawyers, do you remember that? Hundreds of them descended on the airports in JFK and Chicago and San Francisco, where all these planes were coming in, and they went in and you could see them. It's on YouTube. You can see them flicking through hundreds and hundreds of pages of writs and things to try and get those planes in. Also,
like a scene out of Wall Street.
Yes. Also, regular citizens flocked down to the airports in New York and started screaming in the windows, saying, "Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here." And it was the most wonderful thing because it's easy to look at, like in Europe, you look at Americans and say, my God, they're Egypts, what are they doing, you know? But then you get to see these wonderful things. Those people got up on a cold day and went down to that airport just to shout abuse at that stupid fucking law that said you shouldn't let the airplanes land.
Oh, yeah.
They're good people. And they just
Never
started singing their
enough of
hippie songs, you know, in the window to make sure that the Muslims realized they weren't alone, you know. Those Muslims were at the airport already and they were going to be deported. And they had teams of lawyers doing pro bono for them, going in and out of the little doors saying, we have to hang on to these people.
Damn, that's
You know?
awesome.
Like the chance of a Muslim on an airplane going to America being a terrorist, like fairly slim.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's of all the demographics, that would be the one that you wouldn't, you know,
Yeah.
it's like this
Muslims
is
are fairly
protecting
safe,
for this.
you know, yeah.
It's like,
when you hear like there's kind of, because of, I don't know what's causing it, but some people hear the word Muslim and they get scared just from the word. Like I was talking to somebody about media sources on Twitter and I said, oh, good, or Reddit, I mean, and I said a good source for news on this is Al Jazeera, you know, and they started reacting to like the Al Jazeera. You think that's a good news source? I said, yeah, I understand that it's got an Al in it and that's scary.
Barry,
right.
9/11. That's all it is.
Yeah,
9/11.
you
9/11.
know,
Al Jazeera is a great news source. Al Jazeera just means the islands in Arabic. It just means, or the island, singular, island.
But you had all the fucking talking heads like Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck who smeared out Al Jazeera and just you know, Muslims in general. So anytime anything was brought up, you know,
Muslims, like,
yeah,
you should be scared of bloody
Jason. But Satan's coming for it, sir. They're gonna populate destroy us.
Right, but it's like a legitimate news source, though, right?
Yeah,
like it's
Al Jazeera is fantastic. Crazy. Al just means, by the way, if you're scared of Al, if you see Al in anything, Al in Arabic just means the. That's it. That's all it means. The. Whenever you see Al in something, it just means the, right? Al Qaeda means the foundation, the basis.
Al, like L. The Nino.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Al Nino means the Nino in Arabic, right? So, Algeria means the islands, plural. Al Jazeera is one island, and Algeria is lots of islands. So. Al means the.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
So that's not scary, is it? The word the.
So that's all I got for FBI, Barry. So.
Oh, bloody hell! I'm up. Sorry.
Yeah,
I got lost in the Arabic.
Tell us about the Kaya.
Arabic there. Okay, what have I got here? Okay. I have a headline. My stuff is CIA stuff, Brently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Headline is...
I mispronounced it. My bad.
Kaya.
I did it phonetically.
Shah.
With the fun.
Ex-Shah head Petraeus weighs risk of growing Gaza conflict. Brilliant. Washington Bureau Chief Ines Pohl spoke with retired U.S. Army General and former CIA Director David Petraeus about the future of Gaza and Israel's military operation against Hamas, which has been, Hamas just means enthusiasm or zeal. That's what that means. Which has been designated a terrorist organization by the EU and the ES and the US. And of course, the joke I always tell to Seamus when I read out these particular headlines is, whenever it comes to Israel and Palestine and so on, everybody is invited to the meetings except the Palestinians. So right now we have a meeting between former CIA director and a Washington bureau chief about the future of Israel. Everybody's invited except the people who are involved in it, right? Another headline is the Sisterhood Review, ex-spy Valerie Plame on women's CIA agents, or Shah agents, I guess. You'll remember Valerie Plame, I assume, who got outed in a secret operation. Oh, I'll do a show about that. In 2003, senior White House officials outed me, she means Valerie Plame wrote this, outed me as a covert Shah agent. They leaked my identity after my then husband, U.S. Ambassador Joe Wilson, wrote an op-ed stating that George W. Bush administration lied about the threat posed by Iraq ahead of its decision to invade the country. It's another bit of a Mad Libs sentence. I've spent a lot of time in the decades since processing the trauma of that experience. It endangered my assets. CIA uses the word assets to mean people in the field agents. Ended my covert career and unsettled my family. So that's interesting, I guess, if you want to read her account of what happened to her. She got fucked, basically. But she is a CIA operative, so also she was presumably doing some fucking of her own. But you'll see that in the story. Another last one I have is former CIA director, optimistic US has good intelligence to mitigate Houthi dangers. In this May 2017 file photo, former CIA Director John Brennan testifies on Capitol Hill before the House Intelligence. That's just a description of the photo. I don't know why I read that out. Here's the story. Former CIA Director John Brennan said Thursday that he is optimistic the U.S. has good intelligence that can mitigate dangers from Houthi rebels. Houthi rebels are the rebels in Yemen, which is a currently active hot zone of combat between the Saudis and Yemen. There's the West-backed Saudis, funnily enough, and the Yemen rebels, which is claiming the lives of everybody, famine, horrible place. But they're fighting.
So, but nothing to do with blowfish or anything like that. I got it.
No.
It's going a completely different direction.
No, Houthi and the blowfish, I guess. Yeah. I do think the US, along with the UK and other actors, are going to take actions to mitigate the potential danger that the Houthis pose. Like they're the problem, but not the Saudis. And I do think we have good intelligence about where there's some of these Houthi weapons. Now I'm saying Houthi because you put it. Some of these Houthi weapons systems are located. So that's a very interesting article there. If you want to read about it, it's on thehill.com, and it says former CI director optimistic about Houthi dangers. That's it. That's all I got.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's wild.
Is that our show?
That is us for 2 weeks. It'll be a CIA episode. Do you have anything to tease, Barry?
I will be writing the CIA episode. I cannot guarantee any subject matter right now. I might end up doing the Valerie Plame thing. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. I have options.
Any requests, Brent, on Brently for CIA-related stories there for Barry to write?
I think you'd like to see me to write up.
I'm just. I'm going to have to start doing this Google thing because that actually sounds really.
Okay.
It never comes up in my feed. It's.
I understand.
Oh, okay. You do like evangelical videos and stuff. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's mostly like this church person was bad. And here's
all right, Brently, tell us how to find your stuff and what we should do to get at you.
So if you go to it's youtube.com/@punkapostate, and that's like that's kind of the main thing I'm working on right now. It's just the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay, cool, good for you.
Figured
and you watch evangelical videos and you make fun of them.
Yes, yeah.
That's an endless treasure trove of chuckles.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's just the comedy just is. It's you can't get to the end of it. It's just everywhere.
Okay,
I love it. Yeah,
good for you.
With the infusion of Christian nationalism. I'm sorry, probably should emphasize white Christian nationalism too. I think you're doing something important there. Just saying.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
it's a good time to be talking about that. So.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I try to have Elliot or Secular Rarity from the Atheist Experience on. He comes on. I want to say once every couple of months, and we do like a deep dive into something Christian nationalist.
Oh, nice.
So it's a lot of
cool. When does your show usually air for those adults?
Oh, it's almost every day.
Okay.
I've been, past couple of weeks I've been on vacation, so I haven't done as much. But typically every morning, I will do something.
Okay.
Yeah, we're every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
I try to. I'll either go live or I'll put up a pre-recorded almost every day. So almost like Monday through Friday at least.
Good for you, man.
All right, folks. So go check out Punk Apostate, Brently, and all this awesome work. Thanks again for coming on here, man. It's a good time.
We'll see you all.
Awesome.
We'll see everybody else in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.